So as a self-proclaimed anime connoisseur, I can notice the cultured from the smut any day of the week, and I think the number of close-ups, I think honestly if you take a number count, take a head count so to speak, there's probably a good 20 shots that are right focus, right in the center, sometimes a little more down below, and this episode had no shame, but it was hilarious, and you knew damn well Sid wasn't going to pick up on anything these girls are laying down, and the fact that we go from someone who's basically using this magical presence to enhance her physique, double D style, he thinks, oh, that's just her really liking that system at play, not that she's trying to show off more things, or someone who's more or less thinking you are secretly engaged is trying to bring you to their religion. The man will never understand in typical anime fashion, but the number of cliches I saw in this episode that were flipped on its head in such an entertaining way, all I have to say is leave it to the Eminence and Shadow to once again say, this show is just unlike a lot of the series that you think it's going to be similar to, and then in return, Sid turns it into the ultimate parody, and I absolutely love it. Now, I do have a full live reaction available on the Patreon, if you're interested. This was definitely a thirsty episode, so to speak, but I think just the number of moments where you saw them coming a mile away, because unless you're newer to anime, maybe some of this stuff would appear like, oh shit, I never saw anything like this. But I think for a majority watching it, they're gonna pick up on the slam against the wall. I mean, all these little moments that are in so many shows that at this point you're probably rolling your eyes at in most shows that use them in a serious way. And don't get me wrong, for these characters, they're being dead serious. They're literally doing everything in their power to make Sid want them above all else. But the fact that we always have in the back of our mind, or should anyway, that Sid is a character who is playing pretend, that he doesn't think there's actually a cult, he doesn't think that these women are doing anything other than basically playing pretend similar to him, and the people he kills in the streets aren't connected to anything bigger. I mean, the fact of the matter is they end this episode with him standing on the rooftop doing his typical generic, like, super serious speech where he's trying to act cool, and he's just eating something. He literally has food on the side of his cheek before he jumps down. Yes, he does pretty well with just a wooden stick against a sword, but all things considered, I mean, it really shows you how serious the show actually is from his point of view, and that's him being deadpan serious. But it's just great to see kind of like a reverse of what we're used to, because usually when these women are on screen, he's always right there as well. So when you see the thirstiness, it's kind of like you get to see it from both sides right away. But to see how much planning and preparation goes into what they're doing, from someone literally taking a previous arc and inserting themselves into the story, which then, I mean, the whole plagiarism joke was just spot on, probably one of the best I've seen. Just the names they gave it, like, there's Dragon Ball, there's One Piece, but obviously different names. It kind of got me thinking, I'm not gonna lie, like, if you were isekai'd into a world, you could actually do something similar to that. You could just plagiarize stories that you know like the back of your hand and claim it's your own stories. Like, you don't even have to be an artist, right? You could just write the book, right? If I'm getting isekai'd to a world that I don't have to fight in a great war, I'm writing the Attack on Titan story, baby, and I'm gonna make a lot of money back in the day because there wouldn't be any stories like it, right? And I just like that they're having a lot of fun seeing the different perspectives. I mean, at one point in this episode, this is the only moment we see of her. She's like almost is sleepwalking, bumps into a wall, smashes her head, and then later we see her carried off by two individuals. Like, the amount of like just ridiculous things you can see in any given episode, and the fact that it wasn't one, wasn't two, it was like 4 or 5 characters getting their moment to really flex just how thirsty they are, from literally the establishing shot being just changing your physical form from being flat-chested to at least double Ds, if not bigger, and how just from thong shopping, I mean, the fact that you go with your sister and they're just, because think of the world, right? I mean, this is a world where probably, you know, even showing off knees at that point would probably still be a little more risky. So the fact that it barely covers the bits and they can see through said clothing, and the fact that she just grabs it so serious, like, I want it, and then the slam against the wall, just all these moments to build up the harem that is Sid's life, and he is oblivious to it in many different ways, as we see from, oh god, just, not recognizing where some of these stories are actually going. It's not just simple plagiarism. He also maybe is writing herself into being the damsel in distress who gets saved, to people shopping for underwear for him so that they could win him over. It's not an invite to her religion, it's an invite to her bed, like just all these moments, and this man's just so like, get me out of here, I need space, not even recognizing what's actually happening around him. I mean, I still think back to that moment where he stole that pile of gold, like a single coin from that stack when they went to the mall, thinking that like, oh shit, she's stealing all my ideas, I want a little bit for me. Not even recognizing that all that gold was for him to begin with. Like, the amount of, like, obliviousness to this character can be infuriating if written even just slightly different than the way the show's doing it, but it is such a goofy show, and I'd argue this was the silliest episode out of the 10 hands down. I mean, I saw a lot of comments last week saying last week was actually one of the more emotional episodes of the series, and we go from that to the goofiest episode of the series, arguably, and that's the types of, like, kind of whiplash that this show can give you in any particular moment, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Pretty much from moment one, when you see how thirsty everyone is, like, damn well Sid's not gonna give a damn, or he's not gonna notice. Not even just like that dude who doesn't care and makes the characters like him more. Like, he legit just has no idea what's going on around him at any given moment, and this boy's just standing on a roof, Chuny style, eating his frozen yogurt, whatever the hell he's eating up there, as he's casually killing bandits, thinking there's nothing more to it, and I just can't get enough. I think actually one of the funnier moments, which might be able to be overlooked because there's a lot of great ones, is at one point, two of them are kind of having an argument about whose chest he's been focusing on more lately, and one girl in the background just starts playing with a cat, and then they block the view, and it's just her playing with a cat, and then when it shifts back to basically the press kind of like in the front and center, it's more blurred and it's still focusing on the girl playing with the cat. Like, just saying it just doesn't matter, it's completely nonsense. And the fact that they went about the directing in that way, and then at one point she's like, shit, the cat's on her head. I don't know, that type of stuff really, it just hits my funny bone in the exact right way. And I'm really enjoying this show. We're now officially halfway through this show. We get 20 episodes for the season, which I'm still thankful we're getting a 2-core, because this has definitely been one of the best surprises of the season for me, and I'm really glad we're going to get to carry it over into the next season, which is already looking rather packed itself, but this show's definitely, it's made a name for itself, so I don't think anyone's going to be going if you've made it 10 episodes into this show. I think everyone's going to be hungry for that 11 through 20, but I'll pass the torch over to everyone. What did you think of this episode? Because this was a goofy episode. This was a funny episode. This was an episode to make you just have a grin on your face and laugh at how many cliches you see, but how they kind of flip them on its head. At least that's how it felt for me, but let me know what you're feeling down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Like I mentioned, you can also support the Patreon. I got a full live reaction to today's episode. Episodes like these are definitely fun to react to, so consider that if you so wish. You can also get video shoutouts like if you are also about to get here. So we got Calvin Atkinson, Teeny Bopper, and Sign. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Seriously, you can't even predict where the show's going. We could go back into the most serious, we could go back into the most goofy, or we could just have Sid just Spider-Manning his way through a goddamn train, and I love it all. But we'll see where it goes. Take care. Have a good one.